formula in front of you is the actual formula used to award congressional districts throughout each state, as well as, of course, electoral college points. It is some silly math, and we're going to have to understand this to understand everything that's going on and what might be coming next. To do this, we need to look back to 1790. In 1790, there were 65 representatives in the House, one per roughly every 30,000 citizens within the state. By the year 1913, that number became 435. So basically, we haven't changed this number since, but at the time, that was one seat for every 210,000 Americans. And now that very same number is used even though the country has grown exponentially. We now have a representative representing roughly 782,000 people per seat. And this is part of why it really benefits states, for example, like South Dakota or Montana, to only have a few thousand people move there, whereas California can grow by the same number and basically actually lose representation. For those of you that like the Clip Notes version, basically in 1920, there was a census crisis. Sound familiar? Population had skyrocketed and Congress refused to reappropriate seats, specifically because they were concerned that urban areas were growing too fast. In 1929, they permanently capped the House at 435, a totally arbitrary number. By 1941, we would start using this formula. How it works is that every state gets one, and the remaining are assigned using the formula. States are ranked in order of priority, and then the seats are assigned one by one based on the priorities. We can look at a historical pattern here of seeing that if Congress does not want certain people to vote, they will just use the census as a tool to diminish their representation. And now the target is immigrants. But here's the thing. One thing that hasn't changed is the census, as well as the fact that population does count for something. So the next thing they're going to do is target the population, either actually or make it so that it could be contested, which is the exact formula that they use to contest votes that were cast in varying elections. So now, because the more people that live in a place, the more sought after it is, the more it costs to live there. So something that Republicans are doing now is actually increasing the population of their state. South Dakota is probably one of the most extreme examples, but we're seeing it in Ohio and Florida too. So basically, the first thing they do is have very friendly tax policies or no income tax to try to attract people to live there. But this just turns the state into offshore, onshore accounts. And before Kristi Noem left South Dakota, and again, we're seeing this in other states, she declared emergencies in towns that had a population of less than 50,000, specifically picking towns that are right on the border. So if you're in Iowa and want to move into this new house a mile away, you can do so, and the taxpayers of that town are going to pay for it. Additionally, these are typically tax abated houses. So you're going to have no property tax and no state income tax for your first 10 years just moving into South Dakota. But we also know the types of people that are going to take advantage of this. As somebody that lives in South Dakota, there are countless homes around me that somebody lives in that nobody lives in. And this is incredibly unfair. And when you look at how unfair the math is just from the roots, and then consider that each state has the opportunity to district how they want. Look at what we're seeing in Indiana, in Texas. It's going to be red states that are going to push the envelope the farthest. So we need to fight back against all of this, but I'm not seeing anybody talk about this concept of red states poaching people that don't even actually live there, on top of the redistricting and unfair electoral college.